the interesting thing about language is it's like slang. Or my fault, I should re-speak. The interesting thing about the English language is that essentially it's just a bunch of slang. A lot of people don't really know what the words mean. They just make up their own meanings. They're saying words that hold a power to them that they aren't aware of, but they think it means something else and it doesn't. And another big thing with like communication is that like you may mean one thing with a word, but it might mean a whole different thing to someone else based off of the emotional state that they're in, the psychological state they're in. You know, no matter what it may be, communication is probably the most like difficult thing in this realm of life that we live in, because sometimes like we take it too literally and sometimes we don't. Sometimes, like I said, you misspeak, or you might say something and it might mean a certain thing to you, but it might mean a whole different thing to someone else because of how they've learned that word or that phrase. Communication is very interesting, and that's why sometimes I don't speak, and sometimes that's why I speak too much, because sometimes you don't know if what you're communicating to someone needs to be said or if it needs to be withheld. But sometimes it's best to just kind of put it out there, especially with the intention of love, because at least then you know, like, you know where you're coming from and why you're coming from that place. You know what you're trying to get across. You know, like, how to, I don't know what I'm really, like, yeah. Communication's essential. And that's why if you really love someone, you should take the time to understand how they communicate and why they communicate the way they do. You know, I think in society, we're so quick to call everything toxic, or the things that aren't labeled as normal or professional, or we're so quick to consider them toxic. But it's like, well, what if that's how someone was trained to speak or communicate? What if someone shuts down because, you know, in the past, they're so used to getting ridiculed for speaking their opinion on something that's why they shut down? Or maybe the reason that someone is so distant isn't because they don't like you, but because they're, you know, they're protecting their energy and their self, and, you know, they know that they're not in the best place to share or to communicate, so they don't want to because they're afraid of the damage that it may cause you. You know, I think that life is so, no one, like, I said this on TikTok the other day, but like, no one really knows anything and everything. None of us know anything, you know? That's, I think, the biggest misconception. You know, you see these people on Instagram or these celebrities or whoever, and they're like, oh, I know this, let me help you do this. And it's like, well, if they really knew that, why wouldn't they really be doing it? You know, you see all these, like, for me, example, as an artist, or as someone who creates art, with painting especially, like, you know, you see all these people that are like, oh, I'm sell millions of dollars worth of art and this and that. And you're like, well, if you're really selling $1 million worth of art, why are you teaching classes on how to sell art? You see what I'm saying? Because you would be so successful. I mean, maybe you really are, and you're just, you know, humble, and that you teach because you want to. But I think a lot of these people that proclaim or self-say that they are, you know, $1 million salesmen or whatever, haven't really achieved those things. And maybe it's like they're speaking into fruition, maybe they're manifesting it. But I think a lot of times, you know, you have to, I don't know. I've lived with the why question a lot. I question everything, and not in like a state of like schizophrenic or like, is this going to harm me? But in the sense of like understanding and trying to like know what it is that I'm dealing with, whether it be a person or a thing or a place. You know, the more that you introspect, the more that you can correctly guess. The more that you introspect, the more you can correctly guess, I'm gonna say. Yeah, I mean, communication's complicated. I think that everyone's so quick to be like, oh, this means this and this means that, and it's like, No, that doesn't really work like that. I don't think. I personally, I don't know. Because we're all coming from different backgrounds. You know, as a person, some people would say is a chameleon, a person who can talk to street niggas and then go talk to some educated scholars, or I can talk to, you know, a person who is intelligent, but maybe they're not aware of their intelligence. You know, I'm capable of understanding different backgrounds because I've been in different backgrounds. I know these different backgrounds. I've moved in those spaces. Because I've moved in those spaces, I understand the space, and I understand partially, because like I said, we don't know anything, that why and how people do the things that they do. So a lot of times people think that like, oh, like X is a pushover, or X is, he has no backbone. It's not that at all. It's that I've had my backbone destroyed through others' words. So I'm careful and delicate with people because I want to make sure that I water them. I don't want to pull their flowers. You know what I mean? Think about it like this. Think about a fruit tree, or a flower, or a garden, or whatever it may be. Say you plant those seeds, right? You put the seeds down, and maybe that's like building a relationship. We'll say seeds are like a relationship. You build them seeds, but then as soon as you put the seeds in the ground, you want the fruit, or you want the flowers. And it's like, well, that's not really how it works. Like, you can't do that. It doesn't really work that way. So you have to, you know, be patient, and you have to water the plant, you know. And, you know, watering the plant might not always be beneficial to you. That might mean biting your tongue on an argument that really doesn't hold any weight, or doesn't really matter because you kind of knew what it was, you know. It's just letting things be what they are, and that's all it is. Like, life is just very much a spiral, an unalome. No one really knows what's at the end of it. I mean, we do know what's at the end of it, death, but even at death, you don't really die because you live on forever. Energy doesn't fizzle out. So I would say that to anyone out there who's confused, misunderstood, how you doing, Mr. Bell? I'm good. You know, life is amazing. You just got to take the time to be appreciative of the small things, because the small things might be big things later in life, and these small things might continue to be small things, and later in life you might have big things that become small things. So there's not really a point to this. I just kind of I had a lot of thoughts flowing through, so I figured I'd make them into a video, because I haven't made you guys a video in a while. So I wanted to get you guys some stuff, some content. So yeah, try to be more introspective instead of judgmental, because you never really know. And I've learned this the hard way. You know, sometimes people really love you and you just don't even know it, because you think that love is something else other than what it is. Because what really is love? I feel like you can't put love to a definition. Love is a free thing, just like art and music and anything else in life. It's a very free thing. You can't say that someone doesn't love you just because you can't interpret or feel that you interpret the love the way that they would. So, you know, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this at this point. But I love y'all. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope that everything's coming full circle for you as it is for me. And yeah, I hope everything's cool. Real cool. All heart out. Oh, no. We all hurt. We all heart. And I'm out.